Welcome everyone. Let's take a moment of silence before we begin with the reading and reflection. Bringing our mind to the breath, fully here and now. And invoking Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's presence. Yeah. So last time we had started with this very long paragraph or whatever passage on fear and contagion, and we had not finished it. So today we have to take the last bit. But before we take the last one, we have to first take an overlap and we will read what we have done the last time. So if anyone would like to read, say, 1, 2, and 3, paragraphs of this fear and contagion, please unmute and go ahead. Okay, I can read. If not anyone, I can also go ahead. Usually I prefer if...
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Fear and contagion. The mother. When one is in a normal state of equilibrium and lives in a normal physical harmony, the body has a capacity of resistance. It has within it an atmosphere strong enough to resist illnesses. Its most material substance emanates subtle vibrations which have the strength to resist illnesses, even diseases, which are called contagious. In fact, all vibrations are contagious, but still, certain diseases are considered especially contagious. Well, a man who, even from the purely external point of view, is in a state of harmony in the functioning of his organs and an adequate psychological balance, has at the same time enough resistance for the contagion not to affect him. But if for some reason or other he loses this equilibrium or is weakened by depression, dissatisfaction, psychological difficulties, or undue fatigue. For instance, this reduces the normal resistance of the body and he is open to diseases.
Yeah. So just I'm reminded of again, just to reiterate for ourselves that there is a certain harmony in our being, and that harmony usually for most of us in ordinary day-to-day consciousness, it is dependent on also the outer situations which are there. So the people around us, and that is why we see that many relatives, when they come to our house, at times we don't feel very much in harmony because of their presence around us. So most, and this is what we were discussing, most of the times that we have a harmony within our being, and we are not aware that it is also dependent on the outer situations, people, climate, or whatever the place that we are living. And many a times when that changes, and uh, kind of we are maybe trying to explore something else, or something comes on to us, and as if from outside we have to be in that situation, it disturbs the harmony. So the basic thing is that when the harmony is disturbed, for whatever reason, when the harmony gets disturbed, then, as mother says, but if for some reason or other he loses this equilibrium, so each one of us have our own equilibrium inside. And that is why mother says that people who are totally very satisfied in material consciousness and the way they live in ordinary consciousness, and if they don't have right now any aspiration to go further, we should not uh, too much give them too much spirituality, because they can actually lose their balance. So if they are okay with that kind of life, then as long as they are okay, it's okay. Not to disturb them is better, because they lose their equilibrium, whatever is there. Yeah.
Yeah, Monica, just
Yes.
you just were mentioning that if people are happy with their materialistic life, and we should not give too
Hmm.
much of spirituality. Can you explain a bit? Because one of our friend family, they are they're very good people, and they are contented with the outward this thing.
Hmm.
But whenever they meet us, she always says, you are talking something different which I don't understand.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I used to think, what is this? Because their way of life is different and our way of life is different. But
Yeah.
they visit all the temples, they go to all the weddings, all the functions.
Hmm.
But they will not understand whatever I say. So I will usually smile and just keep quiet.
Hmm.
So is that what you were mentioning now?
Yes, yes, almost that. Because if they have, for example, if they once something happens and they get an aspiration to
Hmm.
learn more, say whatever you are doing, or the way of life you have, if they are inspired by that, then they should themselves ask that now, what is really that you do, or what is this mother, what is Sri Aurobindo, and then the seeking may begin. But if we try to inject something which for them doesn't mean anything, they are not ready for it, they have not asked for it, then it actually at times makes them sick also, because the whole being resists.
Oh, okay.
Can happen because you are putting something in. So it's context to context, again dependent on context to context. If someone is not ready and you are putting him in certain situation which is too demanding on that person, the person may easily fall sick, because as mother was sharing, that the harmony inside gets disturbed. So,
Acha.
and last time we were discussing that we are very weak individuals, usually in our ordinary consciousness, that we are very weak in the sense that our harmony is dependent always on the outer situations around us. Like if I'm used to five people around me,
Mm.
somehow I have adapted myself to be in harmony, say, just for example. But if a sixth one comes with whom I don't resonate much, or maybe that harmony, the equilibrium gets a little bit off, then I would not be feeling easy as long as the sixth person remains in that house. So usually our harmony is like that, a little bit of disturbance and then everything is disturbed. But last time we were praying that may our harmony be not that much dependent upon outer situations and people around us. And that can only be gotten when we are totally grounded in the divine, as mother says. The whole security, the whole leaning back, all the needs, everything, full support is coming from the divine. Then we are not dependent whether there is a person next to me who I don't resonate with. Even if he is there, my presence or his presence will not affect me in a bad sense, which it happens. So, like, the example that we can use is sapling.
Mm.
When it's a sapling, then we have to keep it fenced.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
So the harmony can be disturbed by any, whatever. Uh, a little animal wants to chew the leaves, gone, sapling gone. So the harmony, when we are in a precarious kind of a situation, and not very solid, rooted in the divine, then it can be disturbed like that. So we need a fence around us. We need those situations in which I feel harmonious, those people with whom I feel better, you know but when I grow like a tree, totally rooted in the divine, then for all the animals and all the creatures, I can actually be a shade, kind of giving a place.
Ah, beautiful example, Monica.
Yeah, yeah.
Can
So it
always
takes
listen.
time. It takes time, and we have to know where we are. So we have not to disturb ourselves too much, but we have also to, I feel, keep challenging ourselves so that we know where we
Yeah.
are. Yeah. And it's a very good, so I take it as a symbol for myself that if something outer happened and my harmony got disturbed, actually I can't blame it on the other person or situation. I have to take it on me that my rooting in the mother, my rooting in Sri Aurobindo was not enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
You
then
have
I
to.
have to root further. Rooting has to be there. Yes, good evening, Arpit.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, okay, so let's go further. Yeah, this was the first paragraph, this we took last time, and these two more, if anyone wants to read, or if not, then Sardaji can go ahead and read these two also.
I may try. Do you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Okay. From the ordinary point of view?
Yes.
Okay. From the ordinary point of view, in most cases, it is usually fear. Fear, which may be mental fear, vital fear, but which is almost always physical fear, a fear in the cells. It is fear which opens the door to all contagion. Mental fear, all who have a little control over themselves or any human dignity can eliminate it. Vital fear is more subtle and asks for a greater control. As for physical fear, a veritable yoga is necessary to overcome it. For the cells of the body are afraid of everything that is unpleasant or painful. And as soon as there is any discomfort, even if it is insignificant, the cells of the body become anxious. They don't like to be uncomfortable. And then, to overcome that, the control of a conscious will is necessary. It is usually this kind of fear that opens the door to illnesses. And I am not speaking of the first two types of fear, which, as I said, any human being who wants to be human in the noblest sense of the word must overcome. For that is cowardice. But physical fear is more difficult to overcome. Without it, even the most violent attacks could be repelled. If one has a minimum of control over the body, one can lessen its effects, but that is not immunity. It is this kind of trembling of material physical fear in the cells of the body which aggravates all illnesses.
Yes, thank you. So if anybody has any reflections or comments here, then you can share right now, because this was the part that we done last time, and then we can take it ahead. So if anything comes to you on these two, please do share.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So this one with the physical fear, this is something which is like the mother is saying here, with the trembling is very peculiar feeling. And I've noticed this quite often, especially when we open to the vital and the wider ranges and the energies that come into the body. Sometimes the energies and the intensity, the amplitude is quite high. So the cells and the nerves, they get like very anxious, and you can just feel it. Like your mind is very much in control. You are aware that something is going on, which shouldn't, but it's almost like a subconscious kind of a and like a reaction. And I think the best thing that we can do, in like the mother said, is to directly work on the cells and open the cells and instruct the cells that actually fear is a falsehood, and we must have faith physically in the divine vibration.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes. So let's go ahead then today. So we'll read this new passage today. Some people are spontaneously free from fear even in their body. They have enough vital equilibrium in them not to be afraid, not to fear, and a natural harmony in the rhythm of their physical life, which enables them to reduce the illness spontaneously to a minimum. There are others, on the other hand, with whom it always becomes as bad as it can be, sometimes to the point of catastrophe. There is the whole range, and this can be seen very easily. Well, this depends on a kind of happy rhythm of the movement of life in them, which is harmonious enough to resist attacks of illness from outside, or else which doesn't exist or is not strong enough and is replaced by that trembling of fear, that kind of instinctive anguish which turns the least unpleasant contact into something painful and harmful. There is the whole range, from someone who can go through the worst contagion and epidemics without ever catching anything, to one who falls ill at the slightest chance. So, naturally, it always depends on the constitution of each person, and as soon as you want to make an effort to progress, it naturally depends on the control you have acquired over yourself, until the moment when the body becomes the docile instrument of the higher will and you can obtain from it a normal resistance to all attacks. Beautiful paragraph, and tells the gradations of, in, I think if we look at ourselves and also if we look around ourselves, different kind of people, relatives, friends, whatever, siblings, then we will see actually this gradation that mother talks of. So we are somewhere and then the other person is somewhere. Some are very easily falling ill, some are not falling ill, rarely they are falling ill because they have this solidity within themselves naturally. They've, in this life they may not have done conscious yoga so far, but maybe it's the result of whatever previous labor has been already done. So wherever we are, there is always a scope of improvement. So that's good to see, because always we can progress from whichever point in the ladder we are, and we have to see where we are. We have to look at our still weaknesses and imperfections and then take it on from there. So anything on this one, anyone?
Well, I was thinking about something that in many of these texts, the mother, makes reference to facts, like when we talk about viruses and contagious illnesses. So I was thinking that there are also other very important illnesses like cancer or heart disease that are not so linked to exterior factors. There are exterior factors like, pollution and food, but there are more, I don't know, there are more complex, like it's the body itself forming it. So I was wondering if we should have a different approach to that. I don't know. We should understand that differently.
Understand what? Understand what differently?
Uh, that in that cases maybe it's not so much the protection from the outer factors, but another thing going on. But maybe this applies to everything. I don't know.
Actually, even science nowadays that research science, what people do in labs and medical science also, I think people are accepting that uh, most of our diseases are psychosomatic in nature. And they,
Yeah.
I think they give it a figure also. They say like around 95 or maybe more percentage of diseases are psychosomatic, including cancers actually. So many people are now these days taking different route, to heal their cancers, and we have many ample amount of stories which actually tell that people actually generated as if cancer in their life because of their own emotional and whatever going inside. So many stories, Brandon Bays, Anita Moorjani, and many more. These are the most famous ones, but many
Mm,
more. Yeah, yeah. So the perspective I feel is shifting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. Thank you.
It is shifting, and that is why we see, I personally see a kind of a surge in people who are trying to resort to heal themselves through these emotional and psychological, kind of therapies, rather than just seeking out an allopathy or surgery or something else. There is a shift that is happening. So there must be a greater understanding also in that sense, what you were sharing.
Yeah.
I think some people call it the subjective age, coming of the
That's
subjective age. Yeah?
that's what Sri Aurobindo calls it. Yeah, in the human cycle.
Exactly.
Mm,
So
mm,
earlier our focus was always outside, outside, outside. Okay, what harmed me? What was the virus that came into me? But now the focus has shifted. Who is there? Here.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Can you describe a little bit more about the subjective age? Little bit.
Uh,
Like,
Yuan, would you like to share something on what Sri Aurobindo talks about subjective age? Since you said, I thought maybe if you have,
Uh,
yeah.
well, it's a long subject. In the human cycle, the book of Sri Aurobindo, he speaks about different ages or eras that the societies tend to go through, and then he speaks. Well, he put some examples, but I think Monica got it right. Like we are in a moment where the look is going to the subjective realm, not so much about the outer mechanical forms of you know of structures, like in the industrial age and the scientific age. We are still we are going through like a subjective turn in sciences and in every field of study. And Sri Aurobindo thinks, points that this subjective turn, it's an opportunity also to lead to a spiritual age. The subjective age may help us go through the inner realms and then go into another stage, which would be a really spiritual age.
Yes.
It's very complicated, but
Yeah.
to put
No,
somewhere.
I think it's pretty understandable how you shared, and also one more way that we can put very easily is usually whenever we look at the world or look at ourselves, there is a subject and there is an object. So object would be on the things to which I look. I'm looking at something outside of me. That would be an object. And subject is who is looking. So quantum physics, for example, we have, nowadays how quantum physics is going about is that there are many, many experiments and nice theories in physics also, which says that outward thing that you see in front is not all. It depends who is looking. So that's why they say that you can easily alter the result of an experiment depending on who is looking. So my thoughts, my feelings about the experiment are influencing the experiment. It's not like a neutrality that, oh, anybody can look. So this is very well now seen in through quantum physics also. Many good, very interesting experiments have been done. So that would be subjective age, that you turn to yourself, who is the one who is looking, which we had earlier also, actually, I would say, in the time of Vedic seers and rishis, when all the Upanishads and Vedas were coming to them. That was a, I would say, subjective age, because they are operating from that knowing within, who is the one knowing, so as Joan said, that we have to come back to that, and it is now happening more and more that we are coming back home to ourselves. So that is subjective age. Who is the subject that is looking at the object? So yes. Yeah, so Snehi is asking, what does vital equilibrium mean in the passage, and does it mean equilibrium is connected with the vital? So we have equilibrium everywhere. It's like a big machine that we have. We have mental equilibrium, we have vital equilibrium, we have physical equilibrium. Then there are permutations and combinations of them. Mental vital equilibrium, then mental physical, vital physical. So everywhere there are states of harmony within. So here vital equilibrium, I feel, and please people may comment, it would be depending on the emotional stability that we have usually, energetic stability that we have. Some of us are naturally, spontaneously, very emotionally stable, like they have a solid ground within them, as if. Some of us are not like that. Some of us are very easily disturbed emotionally, and we call ourselves then sensitive, that, oh, I am so sensitive, because our vital equilibrium, energy equilibrium, that the one which is associated also with the emotions and feelings and moods, that gets disturbed very quickly. So that equilibrium on the domain of emotions, feelings and energy, moods, that would be a vital equilibrium. That's what my feeling is. Yes, so let's maybe just go over it once more. People can share reflections whenever you feel like. Please unmute. Some people are spontaneously free from fear even in their body. They have enough vital equilibrium in them not to be afraid, not to fear, and a natural harmony in the rhythm of their physical life, which enables them to reduce the illness spontaneously to a minimum. We must have seen people around us. If you look at your relatives, your parents, siblings, and friends, you would see that you have certain type of people who are very somehow inwardly very solid and not easily kind of puppeted by sway and again falling ill again and again. So they have a grounding within, good harmony within. Then there are others, on the other hand, with whom it always becomes as bad as it can be. These kind of people are also, maybe we are one of them, or maybe there are other people around us where it happens that the moment little something different happens in the outward life, and immediately they're in a very sad and bad situation, comes to the point of catastrophe. So mother says that there is this whole range, like a infinite kind of a ladder. There is a whole range, and this can be seen very easily. Well, this depend on a kind of a happy rhythm of the movement of life in them, which is harmonious enough to resist attacks of illness from outside. So all of us, each one of us, have to create our own solid rhythm. We have to see, okay, what disturbs me, what doesn't disturb me. So initially we have to put a fence around us, then slowly, as we gain strength within, where our roots are plunged into a kind of a groundlessness, or maybe a solid ground in the divine, then we can open ourselves to other influences. So we have to do it for our own self, or yeah, so which is harmonious enough So there is a happy rhythm for them in the movement of life, which is harmonious enough, this happy rhythm, which can resist the attacks of illness from outside, or else which does not exist. So maybe they don't have a rhythm. Many a times it may happen that I don't have a rhythm and then I'm okay with anything. So they may not have a happy rhythm. And then there is nothing, like if there is chaos all over, then there is no order that needs to be there, right? But if I have an order at home or in my table, then if any person does anything on the table, I get to know, oh, this is disturbed. You get to know that, oh, somebody came here and disturbed my organization. So there may be no rhythm at all, and then also they are okay. So or else which does not exist, the happy rhythm is not there, or is not strong enough and is replaced. So when the rhythm is not strong, it's a weak rhythm, then it is immediately gets kind of puppeted by any kind of fear or trembling, by. So mother says, or is not strong enough and is replaced by that trembling of fear, that kind of instinctive anguish which turns the least unpleasant contact into something painful and harmful. This we will see in our own life, that there are instances in our life when we are completely undisturbed, although many things are happening, but at times where our attached spots are, weak spots are, anything little happens and we are very disturbed. So this is how you can see that, oh, some, if we are observant enough, again we were talking of subjective age, so if you're looking at yourself, then it would be easy to again restore that order and not get puppeted around so easily. There is the whole range from someone who can go through the worst contagion and epidemics without ever catching anything, to one who falls ill at the slightest chance. So naturally, it always depends on the constitution of each person, and as soon as you want to make an effort to progress, it naturally depends on the control you have acquired over yourself, until the moment when the body becomes the docile instrument of the higher will, and you can obtain from it a normal resistance to all attacks. So this is kind of, mother is taking us through all these little stages, and then she says, then also comes a stage when we are perfectly in tune with the higher will, and then we don't need to fall ill, because there is a byproduct of that perfect alignment, which is a solid resistance from all attacks. So that as we grow in our consecration, as we grow in our surrender, and totally rely only on the divine for all our needs, supports, likings, preferences, everything belongs now to the divine, then there is a normal resistance, mother says. Then becomes a normal thing. Now normal for me is that, oh, 3 times a month or 3 times a year I can fall ill. That is a normal for me. But in that consciousness in which you have a different alignment altogether and total complete reliance on the divine, then there is a different normal. Like in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo shares, uh, then miracle becomes a normal kind of, day-to-day thing. Miracle is not like, oh, once a blue moon. That's not like that. So then resistance from all attacks and not falling ill becomes a normal thing when we are totally in alignment with the divine will. And of course, as all of us know, it takes time. So we have to just keep progressing. Wherever we are, we have to go forward. So anything here, anyone? Yeah. So we can take just this last bit then, if right now not anything. But when you can eliminate fear, you are practically safe. For example, epidemics or so-called epidemics, like those which are raging at present, 99 times out of 100, they come from fear. So as Johan was discussing earlier, that this is, we now know that the virus may be present everywhere around me, but I am responsible for taking it in. So 99 times out of 100 they come from fear. A fear then which even becomes a mental fear in its most sordid form, promoted by newspaper articles, useless talk, and so on. So see how everything comes kind of, raging in here. Tapasya of speech, as mother says. Because if I'm just involving myself in useless gossip and looking at tapasya of my own discipline, because what am I watching? What am I taking in? If just I'm in the front of television and watching news for the sake of getting information, we have all kinds of rubbish around. And although they may appear to us facts, we may think that we are looking at facts, but these are just some things which go into our being and just they promote all kinds of negative things and they do nothing good they do. So to see what we are thinking all the time, to see what we are taking in all the time, it's a kind of a feed that we are giving us. What are the kind of thoughts that I am thinking about? What are the feelings that I am nurturing and cultivating? Because that is how my being will react whenever an outer attack is there. So if I make it solid by uplifting myself through thoughts, feelings, and reading good books, thinking about good thoughts, then everything can be actually slowly very progressive. But if I become my own enemy, which we mostly are, and think about all the things which are very negative in nature and why the world is so bad and things are happening which are so bad, you know, and pessimistic views, then I can't help but get sick, because that's the normal. That's then I'm subjected to that determinism, because when I do that, I'm just in the overwhelm of all the things around me. So, what do we want from our life now? That's the big question. And if we have had enough of those miseries and being puppeted around, then we can actually embark consciously on having good thoughts, good feelings, rejecting the ones which are not beneficial, and cultivating the ones which are beneficial. Then we really have a very good solidity, because the divine will not want actually that the servant may fall ill. When there is more and more alignment with the divine will, then why would divine want that the divine servant would fall ill? So uh, it's a byproduct of that alignment with the divine will. And the byproduct of misalignment with the divine will at times is also that I get a kind of a sickness and then I realize, oh, I got misaligned. So it's kind of a signal, a red signal. I feel personally through cancer, I realized that I was getting very much misaligned with my own mission, with my own, calling, inner call. And I took it as a signal that, oh, red light, beep, 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 beep. What are you doing? And that's it. That's it. Yeah, so anything here, anyone? So it's very interesting. Last time, I think somebody was asking when initially mother said that there is mental fear, vital fear, etc. Someone had asked mental fear, vital fear. Although we had talked about it, but it would be nice to read it here from mother herself, where somebody has asked the question, what is the difference between mental, vital, and physical fear? So this is what mother shares here. Hmm. So yeah, if anyone would like to read, we have time. We can actually take this one also up today. So please go ahead if anyone has the capacity.
Yeah, I can read.
Yes, please.
If you are conscious of the movement of your mind, the movement of your vital, and the movement of your physical, you know it. The mental is very simple. It is thoughts. You start thinking, for example, that there is this illness. This illness is very contagious, and perhaps you will catch it. And if you catch it, it will be terrible. And what is to be done to keep from catching it? And so the mind begins to tremble. What will happen tomorrow, etc. The vital, you feel it in your sensations. All at once, you feel hot, you feel cold, you perspire, you uh, or all kinds of unpleasant things happen. And then you feel your heart beating fast, and suddenly you have fever, and then the circulation stops and you become cold. Physically, well, when you no longer have the other two fears, you can become aware of the physical fear. Generally, the other two are much more conscious. They hide the physical fear from you. But when you no longer have any mental or vital fear, then you notice it. It is a peculiar little vibration that gets into your cells, and they begin to shiver like this. But the cells are not like a heart that starts beating very fast. It is in the cells themselves. They tremble, a slight quivering, and it is very difficult to control, yet it can be controlled.
Thank you. Yes. So we were talking last time, last to last session, I guess, where mental fear would be I am having loopy negative thoughts and I'm actually cultivating fear in my head. So it is thoughts. You start thinking negatively. Usually we have no control over our thoughts. That's why we practice mindfulness or tame the mind, talk about taming the mind. All these practices help us because that is how slowly we develop mastery over our mind and thoughts. So usually in our ordinary state of consciousness, we don't have any uh, kind of, not any, everyone has to some degree, but we usually don't have a kind of a control over our thoughts. So if something is bothering me, it will just keep on bothering me and I will keep on thinking about it. Oh, that relative, why did he said that, and why what was the need of him, or whatever, like what happened in past, what will happen in future. So as if I have no control, that I can say to myself that I don't want to think about it, and I don't think about it. We are not able to do that mostly, but with a little bit of practice we can do that, because now we read mother's words and Sri Aurobindo's words and see other practices, Buddhism and Thich Nhat Hanh and all that. So we see that no, it is possible that if I don't want to think about something which is troubling me, I can stop there and maybe chant mother's name and do something which is positive, and then I don't think about those negative things. But usually, since we are not able to do that, we do this, create this mental fear by thoughts. So we start thinking, for example, that there is this illness, and this illness is very contagious, and perhaps I will catch it, and if I catch it, it will be terrible. So it's like, you know, you take one slide down and then slide and slide and slide and slide, as if you are in Nestle world and kind of, in this huge where everything is just slide. So you one slide down and that is enough for you to go down, 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 down. And then you have to catch yourself that, oh, where did I go just? And then again, present in the present moment. So usually this happens, and then we are cultivating mental fear. And so the mind begins to tremble. What will happen tomorrow? So all of us, I'm sure, have experience of this. There may be some weaknesses, some weak attached spots, some people in our life, some situations in our life which suffocate or make us fearful more than the others. And that's how we can see that how there we can't stop the mind. It just goes on and on and on. In other places, maybe we can. Then there is this vital fear where we feel. So vital is about feelings, emotions, like moods, all this feeling movement is the vital. So you feel it in the sensations. All at once you feel hot, you feel cold, you perspire, or all kinds of unpleasant things happen. And then you feel your heart beating fast, and suddenly you have fever, and then the circulation stops and you become cold. So many a times, for some of us, it can happen at, for example, when I'm going to say, do something which is challenging for me, say maybe give an interview for first time, we will see our heart begins to beat very fast, so that is about that feeling part. I may not be consciously activating fear, but somehow I'm not very comfortable, and that discomfort causes a kind of a turbulence in me. So at the feeling level, I'm not feeling very easy because I'm crossing my thresholds. So it's making me a little uneasy. And many a times we meet certain people, the vibes are not matching, the energies are not matching, and we don't feel very nice about it. So we may develop an ache somewhere, or it may actually, the vital fear can actually get translated, even the mental, into the body also, that we begin to have backache or headache, when we meet certain kind of people, because at the feeling level we are not comfortable with that person. So that would be vital fear. And then comes the physical one, and it's beautiful that mother shares that usually we are not even aware of the physical fear, because as if there are layers and layers of covering. So my mental and vital fear are covering the physical. So if it's like, if AC is on, if fan is on, I can't hear a little cricket who may be kind of, maybe making some sounds in this room. But when the AC is off, when the fan is off, all those other sounds are off. When it's very, very quiet, then I can hear that cricket in the corner, which is making those sounds. So that is how we become aware of our layers slowly, and if we are very quiet in the mental and the vital levels, then it is easier to know what is happening at the physical level. Usually we are not able to do it, and that is why mother says that the physical cellular yoga, what mother shares in agenda also, a lot of it, and at many other places, that comes later. That comes later, because at in the beginning we have these mental and vital layers which need to be sorted a little, and only then we can begin to parallelly also, I'm sure, work can happen, but more, as mother says, that don't try to be an angel in the physical if you're not already some bit of an angel in the mental and the vital. So first it starts from clearing our mind, clearing our feelings, becoming sorted there, and slowly we become aware of our denser layer, grosser layer, which is the physical, where we can begin the purification and cleaning there also. So that would be the physical part, which we can all work if we feel that yes, mentally, vitally, I feel, and it will happen, of course, naturally to each one of us, that we feel inclined to do the cellular yoga. It will happen naturally. If we are doing at other levels the yoga, then we'll be guided. We all are individually guided. Yeah. So anything here, anyone?
I'm glad that we read this, because it was very, also what you say, very, very clarifying. I think I understood better this thing, and this thing of the work on the cellular level. I feel like mental and vital fear not only hides the physical fear, but also works as an amplifier. Like maybe I feel sometimes probably this physical fear that I am not aware of, it's contagious on the vital and mental, and then my mind starts to have some fear, and it's a reflection and an amplification of some more subconscious fear. This paragraph and all you said helped me clarify that, like, okay, we have to start from working on the more conscious realm of our emotions, and then maybe with some quietude established, then we can start to perceive more clearly and work on the more subconscious level of this.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Anything? Many a times it happens with us. I have had many instances of such sort, where something is happening in your life related to maybe a relationship or workplace or generally your life in general, and consciously you may not be wanting something from that situation. Consciously you may not be wanting that, actively you are not seeking anything, any expectation you can't see, any demand you can't see in that situation, but somehow that troubles you. If something changes in that situation, it troubles you, and it makes your heart constricted and maybe comes to your body as well. It has happened to me several times, and how I had shared that earlier also, that one of the ways in which one can maybe go about it. So what was happening to me, that something was changing in my outward situation related to a particular situation, and there was a lot of unease generated in me, like as if I can't breathe. And what I did was, I had read in Buddhism that to go through pain is to breathe through pain, like you breathe through it. And it was giving me a lot of suffocation and suffering. So, what I said to myself, that I am not going to get up from the bed, I'm just going to be with this pain in the body, because that's what the direction was, that be in the body, stay with that pain or suffering which is there. And I just continued breathing. I consciously brought my mind on breathing. I like, even I kind of had faster breathing also, so that I can stay with the breath. I was lying down, and whenever my mind went into the thought area according about that situation, I did not let it go. I brought it back to the breath, and again it wanted to slip into that thought area, feeling area. I did not want let it go. I brought it back to the breath and the body. Now around 1 hour happened, and I was just lying doing this, and I was not expecting that I will get up from the bed anytime sooner. But I went to the washroom, and the moment I got up for the washroom and was done with it, I realized that there was a shift in consciousness which has happened, and I was not suffering anymore, because I did not demand anything consciously from that situation. But the impression of that situation at the vital level and the physical level, because the ego occupies you at all these levels. So the impression of the ego consciousness from on that vital and physical level was there. And slowly, as I stayed with the breath and stayed with the pain, with the body, and not engaging in the thoughts and not trying to sort it in my mind, it just helped me shift that state completely, and I was then functional. After that, I was very easy and functional. So at times these kind of things also happen, where we don't know what is happening, but something is happening. So we can just be with it, like hold its hand and then let it go, let it pass. So any last comments, anyone?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about the physical fear. One other point that I noticed that I remember from Agenda, I was reading it just recently, when Satprem asked the mother about, he was saying, why is it that the divine transformation of the physical is taking so long? And then the mother was explaining that there's a lot of there's a very elaborate process that her body is going through. And then Satprem was saying, but why can't the divine just come and just take care of it? And like why isn't he, because he's all powerful, why can't he just come into the physical and take care of it? And then I think mother said something like, because you won't be able to, the physical won't be able to handle it, because the physical is just not used to anything little bit strange. So it's not just something negative, like even if like you open to the higher energies, it's like there is this trembling that you can see sometimes, because it's just a little bit unfamiliar to the body. And I think like one of the things that I found once again from the agenda was that mother suggested that we need to bring in the white light, the pure white light of the mother right into the cells and open the cells, and there's a white light that can flow through it right from the center of the cells. And I think that's something that is, once again, just like you explained, it takes like a constant practice, constant application for maybe hours and hours, and then suddenly there's like all of a sudden the whole like vibration is changed, and you feel like it's just gone, it's just disappeared.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Appreciate your sharing. Yes, absolutely. All right then. So let's maybe take a moment of silence to dedicate and share all the merit that we may have accumulated of collective reading, understanding, reflections, sharing it with all the sentient beings near to far. May all of us have lots of joy and progress in our lives. And lots of contentment in our hearts. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Monica. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.